let's ask ourselves the questions. What do we think we've been sleeping through?
Right.
Like, is there something, a repetitive pattern or behavior or relationship that's not working that we're not addressing?
Right.
And we're sleeping through that.
Right. And the thing about sleeping through it, because our brain has the ability to habituate to pain,
Yes.
is that we might not even notice our pain anymore because we're so used to it.
Well,
So
this is true.
waking up is being able to do an examination and go, where is there pain in my life that maybe I've been ignoring to the point where it doesn't even come into my consciousness anymore?
Oh, well, hello, Mary.
Hello, Jillian.
We have not been together for like 3 months.
I know. Like, it's been really difficult. I mean, we obviously communicate online, but it's been 3 months. And it's really totally my fault because I've been slightly away. Wait, what?
You are looking very tanned, I must say. Notice, viewers, how tan she is, as opposed to my milky white Irish skin.
That's right. It's milky. It's like cameo ivory.
Oh, please. Okay, so do tell, you were away a little bit?
I was away for a little bit. We kind of have made it into a routine to escape the winter.
Okay.
That's part of the reason why I am as tanned as I am, because I'm trying to emphasize the fact that I was away without...
And I'm emphasizing the fact that I was not.
But it's so good to see you. I've missed you.
I know. We truly have missed each other, and we're going to spend a weekend together soon. So we're going to catch up all the stuff.
And a lot of life has happened since the last time I saw you.
Has it ever?
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got to get on with things.
Well, today is a very exciting day.
It is.
Because we get to end the torture.
Yes, we do. So if you've hung in with us through this book with Dr. Cloud, then you will be so pleased. You should break out the popcorn and bubbly because today is the last chapter.
Yes.
No offense to Dr. Cloud.
I mean, come on. And then Jillian reaches out to me and says, can you go back and just look at which chapters popped for you?
Yeah.
Why would I torture myself again?
I think it's called self-flagellation or something.
So anyway, the good news is we are wrapping up the book. I hope you followed along and found it really helpful and experience. Not that I'm hoping that you experience pain, but we definitely experienced pain.
We did on your behalf.
On your behalf. The sacrifices we make on your behalf.
It's true.
But it is a celebration that we made it through the book.
Yes.
But it is also a good time to reflect.
Yeah. So this chapter is called Wake Up. He's kind of summing up the whole book.
Yeah.
And, you know, we do like to sort of do a little wrap up because there are things that we forgot, right? And we don't want to ever go back to the ways of thinking and behaving that just don't work for us.
Right.
So that's what this whole chapter's about.
Right.
So now it's time to wake up. And the good doctor, what does he mean by that? I mean, when he says wake up after all the flogging that he's done with us.
I know. Well, he's talking about lots of different kinds of wake-ups. The wake-ups that we have no control over.
Right.
Like bad news.
Getting a phone call from your doctor's office with some diagnosis.
Losing your job or something that makes you go, wait, I got to change my perspective and how I'm living life.
Yes.
To the more gentle ones where you choose, like I did, where I went on vacation.
Right.
And I chose to enjoy this beautiful, sunny climate while trying to not rub it in.
So never going back is kind of a wake-up book.
It is. It is for sure.
In itself.
Yeah.
It's taking our lives and sort of placing them under a microscope.
Yeah.
And seeing what is working for us and what's like a parasite, what's not working for us.
Yes.
You know, he's asking us not to live in a fruitless existence. And we've talked a lot about that. How do you know if your life is changing and growing?
Yeah.
Because there's some fruit that's being shown.
Right.
People are noticing changes in you. You're noticing changes in yourself. And he's saying to us, if all our efforts and energies are going into the same behaviors and patterns,
right,
that don't work for us,
Right.
we are leading a fruitless life.
Oh,
I know.
that's painful.
There's just going to be more pain and destruction
Right.
ahead.
Right.
So that alone is a wake-up call.
I think that just even thinking about that, like, it's not like life isn't full of effort. I don't think anyone would say, I don't try hard at things.
No.
That there's no effort in what I do. But is it productive effort that leads to good results?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if we don't realize these things in our life, time is ticking away.
Yeah.
And we have the agency right now to change things if we can wake up.
Yeah.
But if we just keep hitting the snooze button, this is just going to be a continuous pattern that is not working for us.
Right. And I think I would expand it even not just to say wake up, but live in a woke. Well, okay, I don't want to go there because that's a political term. But live in a wokened state.
Awakened state.
Awakened. Okay, thank you. Awakened state. And I was just actually talking to a client yesterday, and he was saying his last 3 months, because I haven't seen him for a while, have been incredibly painful because he is so aware and tracking with his patterns and the why he does what he does. And I'm sitting there celebrating.
Of course.
And of course he's going, it's been painful. Why are you celebrating? But it's because he's been living awakened. So it's a constant state of being awake, not that you awake once and you're done, right?
You know, it reminds me, okay, so my brother is a triathlete, and he had knee surgery back in December, but he's training again.
Right.
And there's not a day that goes by where he is not in some pain or discomfort as part of his training.
Right.
But it's pain and discomfort that he is managing to get to the end goal.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
That's a really good analogy.
And that's what's happening in our lives if we're dealing with the pain and discomfort that comes with this awakened state because we want our lives to look different. That is celebratory.
And just thinking about your brother and the pain he's choosing to endure.
Yes.
Like he really knows his body well. He's got experts around him that help him.
Yep.
So, you know, even with exercise alone, I find sometimes, I remember once, I might have mentioned this story, my wrist was hurting. So my sister wraps it up and says, don't move it. So, of course, I'm not moving it. I get back to my chiropractor. She goes, that's the last thing you should have done. And you need to move it. Otherwise, it's going to freeze up. And so it's being able to discern what's good pain
Yes.
that you actually push through so that you grow and strengthen your muscles versus bad pain, which I could have caused further damage. And so it does require that self-awareness, that listening to experts, going to the doctor when you need to, whichever form of
Yeah. And I mean,
expert you need.
while you've been away, Bruce had knee replacement surgery. So every day I watch him groaning and wincing
Yeah.
as he's working through the physiotherapy exercises
Right.
he has to do
Right.
in order to strengthen all the muscles around that new knee. And it's painful to watch,
Yeah.
but it is going to help him have more and improved mobility
Right.
later on.
Yeah. So I think it's a really great analogy about personal growth.
So we can celebrate the painful stuff that gets us to the good stuff.
Celebrate? I'm not sure.
Okay. But we do have agency, and that's what we're saying.
Yes. Yes.
We even have agency over the pain that we choose.
Tell me more. Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, let's ask ourselves the questions. What do we think we've been sleeping through?
Right.
Like, is there something, a repetitive pattern or behavior or relationship that's not working that we're not addressing?
Right.
And we're sleeping through that.
Right. And the thing about sleeping through it, because our brain has the ability to habituate to pain,
Yes.
is that we might not even notice our pain anymore because we're so used to it.
Well,
So
this is true.
waking up is being able to do an examination and go, where is there pain in my life that maybe I've been ignoring to the point where it doesn't even come into my consciousness anymore? Right. And so there's a lot of intentionality and agency around that. And of course, I got lots of pain in my body. But I can't work on all of it. So if it's my shoulder, I'm going to work on, that's what I'm going to focus on. Right.
Right. So I think we need to articulate to ourselves, I don't want this pain anymore. I want something better than this.
Yes.
I don't want to hurt anyone anymore. So what am I going to do in order to get to that place?
Right.
And what agency do I have over these areas? And yes, there may be a different kind of pain that comes,
Right.
but it's growth pain,
Yeah, exactly.
right? And
Yeah.
that's the agency I can contribute.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that you and I have done this journey long enough to see the fruit of that
Yeah.
pain and recognize it's worth it.
Yes. And you know what?
Yeah.
I have a breakthrough moment.
Oh, well, tell all.
Well, so I'm doing some coaching with
Yeah.
a group of leaders.
Yeah.
And one of the leaders I was coaching said to me the other day, at the end of our time together, she said, "And what is your Enneagram number?" And normally they guess.
Yeah.
They get it right. And I go, "Well, I'm an 8." She goes, "I would not have thought that."
Wow.
And I was like, oh.
Because you were so gentle.
I think so.
Compassionate. And you see, that's so interesting.
I know.
But that shows your growth.
Or my, whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to dismiss it. I'm going to accept it.
But I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
So let's put it this way. Once we articulate one or more of the statements about where things are off the rails in our life, we must be convinced that our current circumstances and patterns are costing us some pain and in a missed life kind of way. Ooh.
Yeah. Where did you get that quote from? Is that from him?
I bet you it is.
Henry?
Or maybe I said it.
Yeah. Maybe it is.
I don't know.
Missed
I'll take
life.
responsibility for it.
Okay.
A missed life sort of way. Where am I missing out on life?
Yeah.
And that beautiful fruit that comes from growth and change,
Yeah.
where I can be embracing all that rather than staying in these stuck patterns.
So where's the missed life? What relationship? What opportunity?
Right? What personal growth?
What personal growth? Oh my
What
gosh.
personal peace and satisfaction?
Yeah.
Ugh. So we are going to now be real with you.
Well, we're always real.
I know.
More or less.
So I asked Mary to go back and take a look at what chapter or chapters really zinged with her. And then she says to me, I'm going to read her note to me. You mean, does it zing with me because it spanked me or because it encouraged me?
And I think maybe it's kind of both.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So for me, it was 2 chapters that really spanked and encouraged me. The never go back to doing something that requires you to be somebody else. That was a big spank because that has been the story of my life where I'm pretty good at it. I'm pretty good at being whoever
You are a
need me to-
chameleon.
I am. But it was also a pat on the back because I feel like I've gotten better about it because I'm more self-aware of the times where I am faking it. And I'm also more aware of what I actually want. So I was having a conversation with a friend because as we've already talked about on the podcast, I have a book coming out in the
Yes, you do.
summer. I know. And I was planning a book launch and I was going to do it in a way that's sort of the traditional way you do a book launch. And she looks at me, she goes, that's not even you. Why would you do it that way? It should be a celebration, like have it at a winery, a restaurant,
Yes.
big old party. Like, you're right. So she called me on it, but it's the immediacy that I was able to go, I can let go of the traditional or
Yeah.
the expectations
Yes.
that people would have of me, that this is the way it should be. And I can do me.
You can do you.
I can do me.
Okay, so can I tell them on the dream that I had about you a number of years ago? So, okay, I'm going to put this aside. So a number of years ago, I had this dream, and it was really poignant at this time in my life because there were some people that had kind of hurt me, and we were sitting at this massive banquet hall, and the people that had kind of hurt me were at this banquet sitting near me, but Mary was right there at the head of the table. And as I'm feeling hurt and put out and wanting to escape, Mary is sitting there and she's got this huge plate of food and this big goblet of wine, and she's tossing her hair back and eating shrimp and lobster and
His favorite foods.
and swinging back the wine, and they're topping it up, and she's laughing, and I'm thinking, well, that's what I would like to be.
Right.
Just me, and not worried about what anybody else thinks or, having
I'm glad my large appetite encouraged you in that dream.
It was so you. So you do you.
Yes, it is.
I think we might have to have a big banquet hall.
I think if you see me in the privacy of some of my meals, there's a running joke in my family, the size of my bowls, especially, I love salad. So aside from lobster, I love salad. So I've got this giant bowl. I'll do a picture one of these days of me with my salad. It's pretty funny. But anyway.
It is.
Yeah, so that's me being me. So that was the one chapter.
Okay.
The second chapter, which I think was encouraging more than spanking, is never go back to thinking you can change someone. And that was just a release for me.
Yeah.
Because the overfunctioner in me, especially as a psychologist and therapist who loves as a two, I feel like it is my job and responsibility to change people.
Yes, and you're so people forward. It's your first thought.
But it puts, like, I end up working harder than the other person does. And they don't actually even want it. So then it's causing this tension within us. And it was for me reading that chapter, although it was an ouchie, it was primarily more a release. Yeah. It's like you can let that go, and you can also trust that others are on the journey of growth themselves. So those are the two chapters that really zinged with me. So what about you?
Yeah, so I totally agree with you on that one about the change someone. That was a hard chapter for me because I had to let go of some navigating that I was doing, and I actually truthfully still do, to get some people to change. Yeah. And it usually comes from a desire, as you said, to have them live healthier lives, or to have a more fulfilling life. Right. That's the desire. But it's still imposing my will on someone else.
It is.
And so, as you said, I can't work harder at it than they are. And it's not my will to change. It has to be their will to change. Right.
Especially if you want it to be real change, because people can change their behaviors to please you. But if there isn't an internal motivation, then they'll just go back to old patterns. Yep. Because they don't see the point other than to keep you quiet. Like, stop nagging me. You know what I mean?
True.
I noticed that pattern in my life with people.
And I think for me, the never go back to something that hasn't worked hit me really hard. Yeah. Because I do pride myself on my perseverance.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also can be a toxic trait.
Two sides of the coin there.
Yes. I mean, perseverance is a good thing. Yeah. But it can also lead to toxic behaviors because it actually masks my desire for control. Like, I can say, well, I'm just persevering, but really I'm trying to control the outcome.
Bingo, bango, bongo.
I know. I've been hanging around you too long.
What? Now you're projecting it on me?
No, because I'm learning all these things.
Oh, okay. I'll take it. I'll receive that.
I hear your voice in my head. So if I just keep trying harder or in a different way, I'm thinking, well, maybe this time it'll work.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
And it's such a lie because it's based on my striving, which is really... then it's back in my court. Yeah. So if I'm honest with myself and it hasn't worked and my desired outcome has not been met, then I need to go, okay, what am I imposing? What am I expecting? What am I trying to control here? And that's not my job. So it's such a waste of my energy and my time. Right. And it's also a waste of my expectations.
It sure is, because there's disappointment that just follows. Yeah. If you think about the amount of energy that you spend in trying to repeat these patterns that don't work or change people, whatever it might be, and you were to let that all go. Yes. Think about all the extra energy and time and passion and space you'd have in your life for other things.
Well, this is my catchphrase now.
Okay.
I forgot to bring my little Post-it note, but this is a Post-it note I have as I exit my bedroom each morning.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to trademark this one.
Okay.
Own your peace, P-I-E-C-E.
Yes.
Own your peace.
Yeah.
Own your peace, P-E-A-C-E.
Oh, that's a good one.
So it reminds me every morning.
Yeah.
I've got to own my crap and my part in it. And if I do that and not try to own everybody else's, I also own my peace.
Wow, that's amazing. So, with all your extra energy, you can produce posters, You can start a show called Own Your Peace, Own Your Peace. Like, there's lots you can do.
Okay, thank you for that. So
That's awesome, though.
as we move along.
Yeah.
So, of course, our good doctor has some tips on how to get moving once we've identified these patterns
Right.
that are not working for us.
Right.
So, to encourage you, this does take time.
Yeah.
It takes repetitive good choices, and it takes consistency.
Absolutely.
Those are the three things.
Yeah.
He reminds us, strive for progress, not perfection. So that if we miss an opportunity where we dip into our old patterns and we beat ourselves up, sometimes the tendency is to retreat and go, well, that's, it's just not clearly, I can't change.
Right.
Forget that. You
Forget
can
that.
change.
Yeah.
But it's going to take time. He says, be honest with yourself. Don't hit the snooze button. What led you to repeat that old pattern? Pay attention to what was going on before and what you could control and what you couldn't.
And I would add, be honest with yourself with grace and self-compassion.
Yes.
Because most of us have a tendency to be honest with ourselves and flagellate ourselves.
yeah.
There's a lot of self-criticism, which makes us feel hopeless and want to give up.
And then we retreat.
And retreat. So like true self-compassion isn't ignoring the mistakes we've made or our weaknesses. It's kind
Right.
of going with our eyes wide open. These are my strengths. These are my weaknesses. These are the mistakes I've made. How can I do better?
Yeah.
So
and
that I think is better.
that leads to kind of the next point, which is realize you're not the entire solution.
Oh, yes.
You need others in your life. You might need a therapist, a coach, an accountability partner to help you. So it's not all on you.
Right.
Draw on the strength of your faith, others, and helpers to get you there.
And I think that's a big one for me as a helper, because I often am easy to give out to others. I certainly share my advice very freely, but I'm not always really good at leaning on others or asking others for help. And you do the same just from like your independence.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I
I have
know.
to like really poke to get some information from you, man.
I understand this.
Yeah.
But this is not about me, remember?
Okay. Right.
So today's actions, see today's actions in a different time zone. I love this concept. I preach this concept with my coaching clients.
Yeah.
Because he has this wonderful chapter in a different book called Play the Movie. And so what the concept is, look at what you're doing today and play it forward on a timeline.
Yeah.
So if I'm in a relationship where I'm trying to change the other person, if I'm still doing the same patterns 1 year from now,
Yeah.
what's the end of the movie going to look like? It's not.
It's not
going to look
pretty.
exactly the same.
Yeah.
If nothing changes, the movie will look exactly like this in a year forward. But if I start waking up and taking action towards progress and exerting my own agency, what might the movie look like in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years?
Yeah, I love that. I love the idea
I
of
know.
agency. We often feel so out of control,
Yep.
but it's those little shifts that we make
Yep.
that can lead to really good outcomes for us.
So if I can begin changing today in some of these areas that are causing me pain and distress, in a year's time, things could look very different.
Right.
In 2 years' time, things could look really, really different. And it might not seem like a big deal that I'm doing today, but these consistent changes on a regular basis are going to lead to great change.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's been a fabulous book that has been butt kicking, but also just really encouraging. Thanks for hanging in with us through the series. As we've gone through Henry Cloud's book. I just think it's been super helpful. We've been getting a lot of positive feedback from people about this. In fact, one feedback made us go back and rewatch one of our videos because like, oh yeah, we said this. Because it was, again, yet another reminder for us. So just because we're talking about this in this series of podcasts doesn't mean that we have it. We're in the same boat as you in that we have to constantly remind ourselves. We have to go back. We have to track all those things. But take it as encouragement that we're with you in this. We're cheering you on.
Yep.
We love that you're even tuning in, that self-growth is important to you. So thanks for tuning in.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Fully Lived Life podcast. We hope you found it encouraging and helpful. Be sure to follow or subscribe so that you never miss a new episode. And if you enjoyed our show, please help spread the word by sharing with your friends and family and posting on your social media. Thanks for listening, and tune in to our next episode.